Hey, in this video, we'll talk about how you can use AI voice agents in your business. We'll cover what are the use cases, what is the technology. We'll go through a step-by-step guide and also talk about what are the further improvements for the system. You've probably heard about all of the AI hype, but maybe you're wondering how you can use AI voice agents in your business. There are a couple of use cases, and what we'll be discussing is appointment setting. So, as soon as someone replies to your cold email campaign, to your DM, submits a form on your website, or submits a form in your Meta lead generation ads, you should call the lead as soon as possible, like ideally in the first 5 minutes. The prospects are most interested in that time period, like when they feel the pain and when they submit the form. So you should try to book a call and qualify them as soon as possible. And that would be the use case that we'll be covering. I've created the Google form, but we'll later on talk how you can use the same flow with different campaigns and technologies that we talked about. So we'll be submitting this form. So something like this can be on your website. And I'll pause now so I can enter my phone number and then we'll be submitting this. Okay, we've submitted the form. Now we'll be running the automation and we're using May.com. So now, as you can hear, we are getting the call and we'll answer it and put it on the speaker.
Hello, Marco. This is Mary, and I'm Marco's AI assistant. Can I ask you a couple of questions about the AI opportunity he mentioned?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. So, do you have a sales team?
Yes, I do.
Cool. How many salespeople do you have on your team?
Only one.
Got it. Just a lone wolf, huh? What CRM are you using to keep track of things?
HubSpot.
Nice choice. So, how are you currently generating leads for your salesperson?
I'm running a cold email campaign and some LinkedIn outreach.
Sweet. That sounds like a solid approach. All right. How about we chat more about optimizing that with AI? How's Monday at 5 p.m. for a meeting?
Works for me.
Perfect. I'll pencil you in for Monday at 5 p.m. Looking forward to it. Talk soon.
Talk soon. Bye. As you can see, it called me almost immediately and it went through the questions that I specified, which are relevant for my offer and outreach. And I'll show you how you can customize that so it can be relevant for yours too. Now, first, let's look at the Make template that you can use. Make.com as a platform to run automations, and it's quite easy to set up something like this. First, we would need to connect to a Google form. And to do that, we create a connection to our Google account where you just provide the authentication and we have to copy the form ID. If you go to the form here where you are editing it, you go to the URL and this is the ID. So this big chunk of text. You copy that and you set the limit to 1 because we want to be getting one request by one request because we'll be calling it in that fashion. You save it and that's all that needs to be done to get the requests from Google Forms. You can do the same with the Facebook ad campaign. I'll show you that later on. Next, we need to create a connection to the voice agent platform and we'll be using Vapi and we'll be creating an HTTP request to do that. You select a basic auth request. This is the URL that you need to copy. We are using a post method in the headers. You provide the authorization header with the token of your with your API key. I won't copy the API key here because I don't want to show my API key, but you can find that on the platform. Next, we select the body type. we select raw, and we select the JSON application. You don't really need to understand what's this. I'll explain like what you need to copy into the request content, but those are some specifications of like how are you going to communicate with their API. So this is the structure that we are sending, and let's switch to this window so you can see it better. And yes, so these are the fields. You have to provide the assistant ID. That is the ID that you get when you create an assistant. I'll show you that shortly. The phone number ID, so the phone number that will be used to call. And then this is the information that's being submitted through the form. So the number that you're calling and the name of the person that you're calling. This is the first message that you want to use. So there is a default message, but if you want to use the name of the prospect, then you have to override the name, because a template doesn't know that until you get the form. So let's look. We need to find I'll show you where to find the assistant ID, the phone number ID, and how you can access the data from the forms. So let's first look here in Make. So if you want to access the name from the form, you click here and then you'll get this window. You click on the answers, then name, then text answers, and then again answers. So you keep going until you see this value that you want to submit, and then you just click on it. That's all to it. The same as for the phone number. So you keep clicking until you see the real value. Now let's go to the Vapi interface here, and we can go to the assistants and then click on the assistant that we are using. To get the assistant ID, we can click here. So just copy assistant ID, and for the phone numbers, you also click on the number that you imported. I'm using Twilio, but you can use some other if you want, and you copy the number also. Now let's go through the assistant settings. So when you go to create assistant, you provide the name, and then we will get this form. So we define the first message. So the first thing it does when it calls someone, if you remember, we are overriding this because we don't want just to say hello. We want to say like hello and the name of the prospect that's submitted through the form. And this part is important. So the system prompt that will define how the model should behave and what are the steps it should go through. So first you define what's the task, like what is the model doing. And you say like you're an appointment center for a company. Then you describe what the company does, and you provide some context about the job. It should ask questions and so on. Then you provide the questions, and if you remember, these are the exact questions that I was asked when I was talking to the agent. And lastly, you provide notes or in some kind of a list form, like how the AI agent should behave when it's talking to the prospect. So if you see any patterns or something you don't like, you explain it here in plain English that it shouldn't do that. Next, we should select the model. We are using GPT-4o Mini. It's a cheap model. If you have more complex queries and you see that the 4o Mini model cannot do it accordingly, then you can switch to bigger model. Keep in mind that the bigger models have a latency, so how much it will take to process the answers and ask new questions. So you can see the latency here. So this is for a 4o Mini model, and then if you use a bigger model, then it will be a lot longer, as you can see. Next, we select the transcriber, so that will convert the text, the speech to text. Deepgram is good. You can experiment with other models and you select what's the voice. Do you want male, female, what accent, and so on. Once you save this, then you can plug everything into make.com and run the system. So if we go to the logs, we can then see what are the calls that were made. So this is the call that we had previously, and we can see what was the assistant, what was the phone number, and what was the customer number. So I ended up showing you the number, but no worries. If we click on it, and now we can see the logs. So what was being discussed, and we have the recording of the call. We can click on the transcript and then see what were the questions and what were the answers. This can then be plugged into a AI model that will structure the data. So the model is going through questions. Like I asked what CRM they are using, how many people they have in their sales team, and so on. So you can input this into a new AI agent that will create a structured response, and then you can store everything in your CRM. You can also use that as a qualification. So if you're selling some additional agents for a CRM and the company doesn't have a sales team, they don't really have a CRM, then they're probably not qualified. So you can maybe sell them a CRM setup, but you cannot sell them like AI system that's built on top of a CRM. And this will depend on your business and your offer, but you can structure the questions in any fashion you want. You can also mention the price and ask them, our price is, I don't know, minimum $2,000. Is that okay with you? If they reply no, then there's no point in scheduling a call, and so on. So you could think of it as a more powerful form where you can gather more data. And this, and you can see the call cost, it was 9 cents. So let's get back to Make. Now here you could access the ID of the call and then pull the notes and format them and save them and so on. And also here the AI agent asked for a time to book a call. And with this simple setup, someone would need to manually look at it and book a call. So you would need to create an integration with Calendly or directly with Google Calendar, so you can book it in. And then you have to think about the time zones also and structuring if you have multiple people with who are you going to book. So that is the next step on how to build and expand the system, and we can cover that in a different video. Some other things you can do with voice agents is to have a front desk voice agent. So if you're getting a lot of calls where people ask something, you can have a voice agent that's connected to some kind of a knowledge base, and then it can provide answers and also schedule appointments. That's a different use case. It uses the same technology, but the flow and the logic is a little bit different. We can cover that also in the next video. So if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments. And also, if you want to build something like this and you need help, you can submit a form that will be in the description. And also you can book a call on my website so we can discuss this. Thank you. Bye.